Hey, 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 it's us. We're back. It's Sunday.
Ah,
I want to ring that bell. That bell's important to ring today. We got Student of the Year here with us for 2021. Real Estate Wholesalers Club. Student of the Year. I couldn't be more proud of this individual, LaShonda. How are you?
okay, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I think everybody in the club knew it was going to be you.
I don't know.
What's it like? What's it like being the big dog making all the money?
Well, I'm happy. I'm proud. I'm proud. I've learned a lot in this group, so I'm
Well,
just happy to be the one for the year.
well, good, good. Well, you definitely deserve it. I think that's why everybody knew because you definitely deserve Student of the Year award and any other
Right.
honors we want to ascribe. Really, you've really outplayed everybody. You've really just done really well.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk to you about it a little bit here and let people get to know you and kind of
Okay.
some of the stuff that we've put out there so far. We put out a few announcements that you won this week, and people are
Mhm.
saying it's so inspiring and you're so motivating. And I just
Right.
thought maybe we'd inspire and motivate today. You feel like inspiring and motivating?
Of course. Sure.
All right, well, great. Tell me a little bit about yourself, LaShonda. Now, you're from Kansas City. I'm from Kansas City,
Right.
but we have actually never met.
Right.
And you've never been a one-on-one student of mine either. So
Right.
we've never had one-on-one consultations. You've never called me on, any day really and been like, "Hey,
Right.
I need to talk, let's meet." Nothing like that. You've just
Right.
been 100% on your own with the club coaching.
Right.
And so I know you didn't start
Mhm.
out with us.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about who you are, your background, kind of what you were doing before you came around to 2021.
Okay, so of course my name is LaShonda. Like Justin said, I'm from Kansas City, and one of the things that has been a challenge for me here in Kansas City is we are in a non-disclosure state. So, how I got into real estate is I used to be a real estate agent back in 1998. So this all started back in 98 with that. Um, the job that I'm working now, I was working there. I'm a warehouse forklift operator for a grocery business, probably where most of you get your groceries from. We supply the grocery businesses all around. So
Yeah, that's a huge thing I want to point out. Okay, not
right,
only are you a six-figure earner this year in the real
right,
estate wholesaling game, but you are also a full-time employee someplace.
yes.
And that's
So
the
I'm going
that's the
on
big excuse everybody has. I can't do this because I'm too busy.
right.
Right.
Well, for me in '98, it was very difficult, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because at that time, my hours were 2 in the afternoon, and we were working 15, 16-hour days, which means I was getting off 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the AM. So um, at that time, I knew that I wanted to do something different. My parents have always been DIYers coming
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with that space as far as like 2x4s and boards and walls and sheetrock
Oh,
and
so they're handy. They're
yeah, they're
yeah.
handy. I'm
Okay.
not saying pros. I'm just saying they're handy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like my dad, he fixes everything too with duct tape, drywall screws, but they're a step above this, right?
Right. So, so I always had a passion for houses and real estate and things like that. So, make a long story short, in '98, I decided to get my license. Well, I was trying to figure out how I was going to get my license because I had been working this job for 4 years at the time because I started there in '94. So I had been working '93. I'm sorry. So I had been working this job for a few years, and so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this real estate school. They had this fast track something where you could go to school for like 5 weeks. Well, I didn't have that amount of time as far as vacation time, so um, I had to I had to have surgery on my feet. I had some issues with my feet. I had to have surgery. So what I did was while I was off for that surgery, which was 8 weeks, I put the real estate school in there.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
going to school. I got these big old Hermit the Monster shoes on my feet with crutches and everything, and I'm crutching it in class. I'm like, I'm gonna figure out how to get these licenses because my end goal was I wanted to be a real estate agent at the time. So
I wish you had that
uh,
on video. I wish we could go.
yeah,
Okay, now we're gonna segue to the video of this. Her on crutches. Go.
okay, I'm crutches at the time. So um, I go to school, I get my license and everything. Fast forward, after I got my license, I was having difficulties doing that because I'm getting off at 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And doing real estate, everything happens in the daytime, not
Right.
at nighttime. So
Right.
I'm trying to get up at like 8 o'clock in the morning
Mm.
and go show people houses and all this and all
Yeah.
that. But then I gotta be done at around 12 because I need to start getting prepared to go to work at 2.
Wow.
So that didn't work out too well for me. I tried that for some years and it just didn't work out for me. So in 2008, the market crashed and all that and all that. And at the time, the warehouse job got worse. Like people were really buying more groceries. So we were working a lot of hours and it just wasn't working. So in 2008, I pretty well much let my license go, right? All right. So then fast forward 2019, I decided to get back off into real estate. Why? Because at the time, my job, it used to be you can retire at 25 years, 30 or 35. That's how it was when I first walked in the door. Then all of that changed. So then it went to you have to have age. And because I started at this job at such a young age, I have to be like 67 to get full retirement. So they changed all that. So it went from the years that you can retire to the age. And I'm like, well, hell, it should be a long time before I get to 67. So that was
Mhm.
putting me like 47 years that I had to work at this place. So because of that, that's what changed my mindset. And I knew that I had to do something different because that wasn't my plan. I didn't walk in the door saying that I'm gonna be a forklift operator for freaking 47 years. That
Right.
ain't happening.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. They
I
want
had to change the
that's
mindset.
like you be too old to do anything that you want to do when you're done with that.
Exactly.
Like, well, and
So
you could probably go to the Grand Canyon still. Maybe take a trip to the beach. Like hobble out there with your walker. Your back problems for sitting down for 47 years all day.
uh-uh.
It,
We ain't doing that.
that's what
We
they
ain't
want,
doing
though.
it.
It feels like that's
Yes,
what they want.
yes,
Crazy.
yes. So that's what changed my mindset. It's like, okay, you either gonna give them 47 years of your life or you're gonna have to figure something else out. So I decided to get back up into the real estate. And I kind of beat myself up because what I had going on before, I let my job derail me from that. And
Hmm.
so when 2019 came around and I said, okay, I have to change. I have to figure out something that's going to allow me to live my life because I've never really lived my life. I've been at this job. I'm still at this job. Been at this job going on 28 years. That's more than half of my life. So, half of my life. Yeah. So I got to do something different. So I started doing research on uh, real estate and things that you can do in real estate other than
Sure.
trying to sell real estate because I really didn't care for selling real estate like as an agent or anything like that. So some kind of way I came across wholesaling. I came across wholesaling. I came across the flip man is how it originally started
I
with me
love the
with the
flip
wholesale.
man.
Yeah. So I came across him. He
he's
had a
got the he's,
lot
he's
of
got the best TikTok videos out there in
yeah.
the
So
business.
he had a lot of free information. So that's how I dived into the real estate. So that's how I got started. Um, and once again, the job is making it very difficult for me to
Mm.
to get off and to do something different.
Hmm.
However, because my hours changed, it kind of changed some things for me. Because now I go in at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I get off at 11:30. Supposed to get off at 11:30. That's if I don't have to work 12 hours within the day. Within the day. But the point of what I'm saying is now it's allowing me to do the real estate, in the daytime. So because of that, I said, okay, well, this is my perfect opportunity. I'm really going to have to dive off, really, really deep dive off into this real estate, wholesaling, lease option, sub two,
Mm-hmm.
all of it. Because my end goal is I want to be a transactional engineer. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to, any motivated seller that's really motivated, I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to structure some type of deal,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what the deal is. So I had to deep dive into that. So now I started doing the research. I found the flip man, and I started wholesale. But I wasn't doing a whole lot of wholesaling. I was just learning the processes and everything while I'm still working. I'm still working. So now I'm starting to notice again that the job, because we've been dealing with the recessions and all this other stuff, the groceries is picking back up, like
Mm.
heavily picking back up. So it's causing me to work 10 and 12 hours a day,
Oh.
which means I'm getting off at 1:30 or 3:30. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna allow this to stop me
Mm.
doing from what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I gotta go buy some damn toothpicks, stick them
Right.
in my eyes,
Right.
to be able to do this, because I still got to go to bed at a decent time to be able to get up at 2:15 to go to work. So fast forward, I started. What I was experiencing was when I was wholesaling in Kansas City. We're in a non-disclosure state, so it makes it difficult to run numbers and all this and do all that. So I have a couple of agents that are friends of mine that I was seeing the property to get comps, but I kind of don't really like doing that. You know how that goes. So
Yes.
um, I started looking for wholesaling clubs in Kansas City because I had never joined any.
Yeah.
And the first one that came up was yours, and I was like,
Really?
damn, we got a
Oh.
wholesalers club in Kansas City.
Thank you,
I was like,
Google.
okay. You say what now?
I said thank you, Google.
Right. So I came across your group, and what attracted me about your group, what the Real Estate Wholesalers Club is virtual, and that's what I
Yeah.
needed. I knew I
Yeah.
needed something virtual,
Yeah.
so that way I can hop off into other markets that does have the data,
Yeah.
where I do not have to get in
Yeah.
contact with the agent or whatever. So that's how I got to you.
Yeah. Yeah. We are living in a virtual world, and I
Right.
am a virtual girl. Right? Nowadays, you
So
can't even question that. I said it, so it must be true. Okay.
so that's how I came across Real Estate Wholesalers Club, right? And when I joined the group, what I liked about the group is it's wide open. It's like you're there, we're here, and we're all, even though it's virtual, it's a real classroom, meaning that we just ask the question, like raising the hand. We
Yeah.
just ask the question, and you answer the question, and you're
Yeah.
right there, and
Yeah.
it's you instead of someone else. I've been
Yeah.
in groups where it was more so like a phone thing, and then it's like some type of freaking prompt that come around, and you got to wait your turn and all this crap. I'm like, this, I don't really care for that. So that's what I did like about this group. And then also everybody is very supportive,
Yeah.
and most importantly, you do wholesaling virtually,
Yeah.
lease options virtually, and those were the two things that I was really into.
Yeah.
So when I joined the group, it allowed me to be able to try to learn how to structure my business better. Because
Mm.
once again, this is a new space for me, all of it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know what a CSV file. I was like, what the hell is a CSV file? I don't
Right.
even know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm a forklift operator. We don't deal with
Mm.
spreadsheets and
Mm.
stuff like that.
Mm.
And so the point is, when you're trying to transition from when you're trying to transition from working for someone else for 20 almost 28 years,
Mm.
and then you're working for yourself, you have to structure your whole everything.
Mm.
Like everything is about to change for me. My whole life is about to change for me because my end goal is
Yeah.
to fire my boss. That's the end goal. That's my
Yeah.
why. My main
Yeah.
why is
Yeah.
my time back. I want my life back. I want my freedom back. I'm looking for financial freedom. Um, um, my plan is to gain as much residual income, as possible. Like I just want to know what living is like. I don't know what that's like because someone has always had my life planned out for me. And what I'm saying is the job. They tell you when to go to break. They tell you when to go to lunch. They tell you when to come in. They tell you when to leave. I don't even know what it feels like not to be under that type of atmosphere, but I'm about to find out.
Yeah.
I'm about to find out, but I'm just saying. So.
Well, you made over 100,000 this year by quite a bit. And so you could tell your boss, but you don't for some reason. Can I ask why?
So for me, the reason why is because I've been at this place for it'll be 28 years in a couple of weeks. And so it's a big transition for me. It's a mental transition. It's a physical, it's a everything. So I'm not, in my life has been structured forever. So I have to figure out how to live past that.
Yeah.
I know that it sounds simple, but it's not, because I got to put stuff in place. I got to have insurance in place. Some of the things that they don't talk about when you have a business, because I'm coming from all that. I didn't have to pay for insurance and stuff like that. So all that stuff's got to change. So I want to put all that in place before I, get out here. Now, this is not nothing that I just got a couple checks and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to quit. Like, I've been planning this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, even before I joined this club. It was just the courage, number one. And then the biggest thing that most people have is fear.
Yeah.
Is fear. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and just say like I've never had fear, because sometimes it goes through my head periodically. You know what I tell myself? Oh, hell no. Devil, we're not doing that this time. You stopped me. You stopped me for 28 years. Hell no. I'm not. We're not doing that. So I just reverted to something else. I'm not going to even let that, knock me down, because that's what's been knocking me down the whole time. I could have been doing this a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I'm always scared because we were taught to get a job, get a union job, work the union job forever, and then you retire, and then you get your little check. Well, we're living in different times now. You might ain't even have no damn check. That check might not even be there. And I'm not going to wait around to see if it's going to be there for me. And plus, we can make way more money in real estate. So that's why I just coming up with a plan and implement a plan. I'm not saying I don't feel like you're going to be 100% ready and you're going to have the most amount of money. It's just a matter of when that time, which is coming soon.
What an interesting story you have, and I'm really appreciative of you sharing it with us in such clear detail, because I think people really relate. I know there's a lot of folks that have jobs and they have that plan, like you said, I'm going to get a deal or two and then quit my job. And you're kind of more the Hannibal Lecter, like you've thought, you know what I mean, very cerebral about this. And thinking through it, and my hat's off to you, because that's wisdom, and not only that, it shows a lot of self-discipline too. Because I know when you're at work, you're thinking, if that guy just says one more thing to me, I'm gonna tell him where to stick this job, But you haven't, and so kudos to you for that.
The average person probably would have been and quit,
Yeah, I would have too. I would have already been so arrogant about it. I'd have been like, "Oh, you can eat my dirty shorts," like I'm out, And,
well, then I also had to prove to myself that the process works. I had to dissect it in my mind, because, after the first 4 or 5 deals, I'm like, I think I probably just got lucky. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's what I was telling myself.
Yeah.
Because it was so freaking easy, and I didn't put in a trillion hours like what I would have to do at the job until I was kind of like
Yeah.
questioning it. But then as time went on, when I got more deals, I'm like, okay, well then you just repeat the freaking process. You just reverse engineer what you did
Yeah.
and just keep doing that. And so that's where I'm at now. So I'm more comfortable with firing my boss.
So let's talk about that. How many deals does it take to get to the six figures club?
For me, it took 10.
10 deals. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you did that in like all of 2021, or how long did it take you in 2021 to actually get to
No,
the.
I didn't get my first deal to June. It was the
Wow.
end of May. So from May to about 3 weeks, because these last deal, I've gotten some more deals since the last time I spoke with you. So
Yeah.
I say within a 6 month period from June to
Yeah.
December.
Wow.
If
Yeah.
I would have been going hard at it in January, like how it probably would have been double.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What happened between January and June-ish?
So what happened between January and June? I was still, um, first of all, I was like blocking myself because I was so busy focusing on, like when I would get one under contract, I'm so busy focusing on making sure that it closed and this and this and this and this. But this time, I kind of like let that go. I just get it to the closing table and move on. Get it to the closing table and move on. Of course, I'm checking on it, but it seems like it seemed like I was just sitting there like watching it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it gonna close? Is it gonna close? Is it gonna close?
Yeah.
Instead of focus on the next,
Yeah.
agreement to get it to the closing table. So when I let that part of me go, that's when I noticed a difference. That was one.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second thing was I ramped up my marketing. And then I got a little bit more educated on how to structure the marketing part. And that's where the group came in at. That's where
Mm-hmm.
you came in at because we will always go over breaking it down in the processes and the
Yeah.
days instead of me just throwing all that crap in a bucket and trying to figure it out. That was
Yeah.
that was what was happening at first and it was not working for me.
Yeah. So now that you've had all this great experience, do you feel
Mhm.
like do you feel like the process, the business itself, the processes of making the business work, do you feel like that's ridiculously simple?
Now it's starting to be, but before I would say no. And the reason why is because you get wrapped up in the shiny objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you like try all these different processes and put them all together and then doing all this crap and and it gets confusing to yourself because you got too much going on. So now, yes,
Yes.
once you figure out what systems and processes that you're going to use and then implement that, yes. But leading to that, no. I have to say
Yeah.
no. I
Yeah.
was struggling with because
Yeah.
once again, I'm a forklift operator. I'm not a business person as far as structuring, as far as using different platforms in this business. We use a lot of different tools, and I was uneducated on all that. It's a lot of different tools that we use.
Yeah. There's definitely a handful at least. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, and there's a little learning curve to each one of them, and
right,
most people are trying to tackle all of this in the dark alone. And
right,
my goodness, let's just say it's impossible. So in some cases, like
right.
I hate to say that, but yes, you don't need a coach, you don't need this, you don't need that, but God, it sure helps. I mean,
Yes, yes.
so anyway, you did 10 deals. Now, what was the to get to the six figures? What is the composition of those deals? Because you had talked about being a transaction engineer,
Right.
meaning you could do pretty houses, lease
Mhm.
options, or subject twos, or ugly house wholesaling.
Right,
I like the phrase full spectrum wholesaling, meaning you can do ugly houses and pretty houses
right,
both. But
right,
I feel like that transaction engineer is like even one step beyond that, where
right.
you're doing now you're doing subject twos and wraparounds and
Mhm.
split funded deals where it's owner finance and blah blah. So
Right.
yeah, what was the composition of these 10? What were these?
Okay, so I see. I think two of them. because let me back up. So I've done lease options, I've done wholesaling, I've done sub two. And so one of those was a lease option deal that I had that
Okay.
I sold, right? Okay. And so then the rest of them were land, wholesaling
Okay.
land. So I was
Okay.
assigning the contract. Right.
Okay. So how did so in other words, like a city lot where somebody could put a house or
Infill
something?
lot. Infill lot. Yes.
Okay. So how did you kind of get into this, and what is it about that you like, and how does that work? I mean, does it work the same exactly as what we're used to with the ugly house business or pretty house business, or can you kind of give us a couple minutes on that?
Sure. So with the land, what I how I got into it was a friend of mine who does land. And I was complaining to him about how difficult it is to wholesale here in Kansas City because of the we don't have the numbers out there. So um, he was telling me about land because land is simpler to wholesale because you're not dealing with trying to get the keys, trying to get over there to look at the house and see come up with the repair costs and all that. And so because I wanted to go virtual, I had to think of something that was going to be simpler for me to do, and land was it. So I have a couple of friends that do land. They turn me on, talk to me about the land, and that's how I got off into it. So what I did was I used all of the processes that we take in this court in this group, and instead of it being a house, I just decided to do land. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same process. It's the same paperwork. It's the same purchase agreement. It's the same assignment agreement. It's just that it's simpler because you're not dealing with keys and
Yeah.
repair costs and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I know there's people out there watching that would think, well, I don't know nothing about raw land or how to do
Right,
that.
right,
And then they totally discount the entire thing and go to something they're familiar with.
right,
So I think another thing to really respect about you is that your flexibility. You recognize the problem. You were having difficulty wholesaling ugly houses in Kansas
right,
City. Hey, guess what? Me too. I live in Kansas City. I was having difficulty. That's why I started
right,
doing lease options virtually.
right.
So you're doing this, but you thought instead of lease options, where I thought you thought, why don't I just do this raw lot right here with no house on it, and that'll be easy. He can drive by and look at it anytime he
Right,
wants.
right,
No appointment necessary, right? So
right.
that totally makes a lot of sense. I'm disappointed that I didn't think about that first.
Well, I was doing both. Like when I joined the group, I started really focusing on lease options virtually because that's what um, mostly what you teach, right? So, well, both, but I'm just saying lease options. So, I was already doing lease options. I was following your processes. I was learning how to break it down into days and things like that. So, I had that set up. But then once they started talking to me about land, um, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna pull a list. Just sprinkle that land in there,
Yeah,
and then on top of that, every now and then I would get a lot that would, for some odd reason, funnel into my lease option
I see.
list, right? So, so one day, um, I had got some sellers that wanted to sell their land, and it was real cheap. So I'm looking in the area, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this look like this is pretty cheap. I'm like, okay, and I remembered some of the land processes because I had been doing some research on YouTube, and I found this guy named Damian Dupuis. Shout out to Damian. And he had a free course about land, so that's how I got more in depth about it. So I had like six sellers that had these lots that were real cheap. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna put them under contract. So then I'm gonna do like what I've been hearing people say. So I did the exact same thing that I would do with a house. I went in the prop stream, I pulled the
Yeah,
buyers, the individual buyers, the corporate buyers, put all that stuff
yeah.
together, sent them a text. I'm like, shit, I'm just gonna throw it up against the wall and see what happens. Okay, so then I get a buyer. I get someone that's interested. I'm like, oh
Wow.
shoot, he's interested. So so as we got to talking, I had to reprogram. my mind, because now I'm not asking them, well, what's the condition of the property? Well, how many bedrooms? How many baths? And how much do you think the repair cost would be? We didn't have that type of conversation. It was like, hey, I got a
Yeah.
lot for sale. It's a quarter acre. Do you want it or do you not? You
Yeah.
want to go look at it? Or you can look it up on the GIS. Needs to be in the area where you are at. Go and look at it and tell me if you want it. Well, the buyer, he didn't get in the car and go look at it. He looked at it on the map and said, "Hey, I want them. I want all 6 of them."
Wow.
But 2 of them ended up not going through. For one of them was like a ski slope. That was before
Yeah.
that was before I learned how to read the topography. On the lot, I had to learn all that too. But um, one was a ski slope, and it was something else wrong with the other one. I forgot. So he ended up buying the 4. So when he bought the 4, that's what geared me over to land, because I'm like, okay, well, this is working right now. Because I had been doing lease options for a few months and I hadn't really got anything solid.
Yeah.
But this right here is working.
Yeah.
And I didn't put forth a whole lot of effort.
Yeah.
Because it's a simple process. So that's how I got to that.
Yeah. I love it. What an awesome story.
Yes.
I get the reputation of being the lease option guy, but like you were saying, that's because I talk about it all the time. It's a great place for people to start, but I feel like it's kind of like learning how to drive a car, but learning how to drive a stick shift. So you're really, really good at it by the time you learn.
Right.
But I do believe in the full spectrum concept of ugly houses and pretty houses. You've added in the raw land. See, now when I'm doing my scrapes and text blasts, I always delete the raw land, and then I put minimum bedroom 1 to get rid of the land. But you out-thunk me and totally went into the territory of land, and you're doing it virtually too, which means not just in Kansas City here where we are.
I don't even do it in Kansas City at all. I don't do nothing in Kansas City.
Wow.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm not in Kansas City at all. I don't pull no list.
Yeah.
Now I may go back and do it because I started off here, but I don't do anything in Kansas City right now.
Sure. So you're running scrapes and doing text, and if you run into a lease option, you can do that. If you run into an ugly house, you can do that. If you run into a lot, you can do that.
Yes.
Wow.
If I run into a subject 2, I can do that because I'm familiar with subject 2.
Okay. So, and all of these things are so similar. It's crazy to me that a lot of wholesalers aren't embracing some of these, because lease options is not much different than an ugly house, and an ugly house is not much different than raw land, and that's none of that's any much different than a subject 2.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, just a little bit of education, a little bit of training.
But we won't worry about them. We'll just keep it for us.
I like that.
Just leave them where they at.
I like the way you think. So, real quick, I know I've kind of gone over time here.
You good.
But
good.
What kind of marketing are you doing? I know you said the scraping for sell by owner, Zillow, and the text blasting, but what kind of numbers is that? I mean, because I talk about numbers, I recommend numbers, but then people have to plug them into their lives,
Right.
And so how are you plugging it into your life?
Okay, so I have a virtual assistant, and I send out 1,000 text messages a day, right?
Okay.
And so
you have a virtual assistant in what place?
She's in the Philippines.
Okay, so you have a Filipina virtual assistant, and she works every day?
She works Monday through Friday. I've structured my business where it's Monday through Friday. Why? Because I have been robbed of my weekends for 28 years. So for right now, it's going to be Monday through Friday. That's what it is.
We talk about doing that outsourcing virtual assistant stuff in the club. Is that what inspired you, or did something else inspire you to do this virtual assistant stuff?
What inspired me was I had to come up with something while I was at work.
I see.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with something to where while I'm at work, once the text messages start coming in, I need somebody there to be able to funnel through those text messages. So that's what inspired me. And then on of the fact that in the club, I will always hear you talk about your VAs and how your
Yeah.
business was structured. And
Yeah.
so I kind of been trying to mirroring
Yeah.
that, but instead of me having 3 or 4, I just got 1 right now, and
Yeah.
I'm fine with that until I'm able to not work this job to be able to grow my team. Because
Sure.
right now I feel like I can't grow my team because I'm working 10 to 12 hours, and then when I get off, I'm still going through the text messages that I had her put on my schedule. Like if it's a number that I think I can make work, then I have her put it on my schedule. So then when I get off, regardless of whatever the time is, I go straight home, go straight to my computer, and start working those numbers to try to see if I can lock them up under contract and get it sold.
That's awesome. I was going to say, what I really like about you is, and you've demonstrated this a few times in this conversation, and I really appreciate it, but what you've said is that you've run up against situations where the job was sucking your life.
Oh my God.
You've run into situations where it was like, I don't have time. I cannot do this.
Right.
Most people would say, okay, I can't do this. This isn't for me. I give up. I'm going to go study Bitcoin now.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I'm
Right.
not putting that down. But you didn't do that. You've always
Mm-mm.
been kind of the mind of, okay, listen, I can't do that because I'm at work.
Right.
How can I still do it? How can I
Right.
get this done while at work?
Right.
A virtual assistant. Now, how do I make that affordable and efficient? And
And
are
then
you,
on top of that, I had to learn, like, I've never hired anyone. I've never had
yeah,
anyone working for me to that, capacity. And
yeah,
I've had someone come and and give us a bid on like painting a wall or something. But to have an actual employee, I'm like, oh Lord, I got to learn all this. I got to learn, how do
yeah,
you pay this person? How do you communicate with this person? Oh, I got to do videos. Okay, so this is how this works. Like I'm learning all of this,
mm-hmm,
all while I'm still working this job. Like it's been some times where it's just been like a serious overload, but I always still again tell the devil he's a lie, and
mm-hmm,
we are going to make it through this hard, whatever that looks like.
yeah. I like
Right.
it. I like it. So inspiring. So
Thank you.
inspiring. Yeah. Congratulations. You really, really deserve the.
Got my little bear.
Yeah. Show everybody. Show the
Got my little
bell.
bear. I still got the bow on it. I ain't took the bow. I ain't even took the bow off. And then I got my Amazon gift card. So I
Does it?
got my bell. And so while we're on here, I just want to say that Friday, I'm gonna take this off. Friday, I closed 2 more deals, right? So because I haven't rung my own bell, my own new bell. Let me take this paper off here.
Yeah, I love it. You're gonna ring it for us.
Yeah. So because I closed 2 deals Friday and got my new bell. Let's go, baby. 2022. Good another year. I appreciate it, and I
Hey,
just want to tell everybody, all of everybody that's in the group, this has been a great journey. I appreciate appreciate you, Justin, for coaching us and teaching us processes,
thank you.
taking out the time to open up the floor. That's one good thing that I love about the group is you open up the floor and let other people talk versus some groups I go to. They do all the talking and then they open up the floor the last 10 minutes and then
Right.
everybody's like
I
kind of rushing
hate
with
that.
their. Yeah, so that's one thing I do like. I like the way you actually break everything down and go over all the processes, and you're very open about your business and how it's structured. And I just want to tell you that I appreciate it, and I know everyone else in the group appreciates it.
Hey, thank you so much, LaShonda. You are such a blessing to have in this group. And
Thank you.
you asked a lot of questions this last 2021.
Yep,
You asked
and I'm sure I'm gonna ask a lot more.
you asked a lot of questions, and you got your money's worth. And I'm so
Right.
glad you did.
Right.
You're an
But
inspiration for everybody.
I say that because there's people that they don't want to ask the question, Like, I'm asking damn questions. That's what we're here for. I'm going to ask the question. So if somebody got a problem with that, then you're the one with the problem. But I'm going to ask the question because I got to understand. I've learned that I'm very analytical. So sometimes it takes a minute for me to process things. So, but I've learned that when I ask the question, it's 20 other people that want to know the answer. They just ain't bold enough to ask.
Absolutely.
They just ain't bold enough to ask the question.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Right.
I am so thankful for you. You've had a lot of great questions, and you're really using the Daily Coaching Club. And not only that, but like coming into it, not only are you getting stuff out of it, but dude, you're bringing so much. And
well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I really do. But this is not about the coaching club. This is about you. Because
this is about wholesaling.
The coaching club didn't do this. You did this.
Right. Right.
And it sounds like you just really committed to it hardcore, very cerebral about it. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to take no for an answer.
I'm not going to take no for an answer. And I've done that, and that didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. You got to be hungry if you want to eat, you know.
Hungry! Hungry!
All right, LaShonda. Hey, thank you. God bless you. I very much appreciate you being in the club here with me, and you're an inspiration to me too, and everybody. So you have a great rest of your Sunday.
All righty, thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow. You did great today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye-bye.